Constraints make the creative act more difficult. Why use a constraint or a structure that creates parameters that seem like obstacles? There are endeavors that have or seem to have constraints already. In other cases, we can constrain ourselves. Why would we want to do this? Why add constraints? In order for an act to be creative, a problem must be overcome. Imagine you want to open a box. If you were to simply open it, it wouldn't be a creative act. But if we add constraints, like you're not allowed to use your hands, and the box is locked, and the box is underwater, how would you open the box now? With the inclusion of an obstacle, the solution, by sheer necessity, must be a more creative solution. An idea that opens a locked box underwater without using your hands is likely to be more creative than just opening the box without any constraints. Before innovation, there is an obstacle. The greater the obstacle, the greater the innovation that overcomes it. Constraints increase the levels of creativity and the chances for innovation by adding an essential element, an obstacle. Stéphane Mama wrote in his book, Creativity Bootcamp, if someone paints a beautiful painting, the result is not creative unless there was a problem to be solved. It is artistic, but not creative. Throw in even the smallest of problems, and the same work immediately becomes creative. To what level is still an open variable. He goes on to give the example of an artist who paints a portrait of a beautiful woman. If the artist's only goal is to recreate beauty, it is an artistic act but not a creative one, since no problem was solved. However, if the artist chose to recreate the woman's beauty on the canvas using only 3 colors, that would be a creative act because a problem was solved. Creativity and artistry would be present together. When you reach an obstacle that is significant, you use all the tools you remember or know to work around it. If nothing you know works, you have to create an entirely new way to get around this obstacle. Obstacle, frustration, epiphany. The more frequent the obstacle, the more frequent the innovation. Look at Shakespeare. Often writing in strict sonnet forms, every line had certain constraints. Rhyme, meter, just 2 of the many poetic devices he used to amp up creativity. Frequent obstacles, frequent innovations. Songwriting works in a similar way. You write a lyric with melody, and this line indicates possible constraints offered by the melody, a rhyme scheme, a number of syllables, a number of notes. These constraints provide the songwriter with the opportunity to have to look outside the known to reveal what was previously unknown to that artist. It's a powerful moment. This Eureka moment has been measured and occurs with a burst of brain activity, including a jump in gamma wave rhythms, believed to occur when neurons bind together to form new networks. Insight. To quote Jonah Lehrer from his book Imagine, the imagination is unleashed by constraints. You break out of the box by stepping into shackles. Theodor Seuss Geisel, also known as Dr. Seuss, was challenged by his publisher to write a book using only 50 words. Green Eggs and Ham was the result. Let's write a couplet, 2 lines of poetry that rhyme. We can add any elements we like to function as our constraints in addition to the rhyme. Try the addition of these 2. Each line is exactly 8 syllables, and end the first line with the word stairs. How did that go? How did you fare working with the constraints of 2 lines that rhyme, with exactly 8 syllables per line, and ending the first line with the word stairs? Constraints push toward new connections. Dealing with constraints present the opportunity to take a leap forward, to overcome, to progress. New and perhaps remote combinations and solutions outside the norm, sometimes outside the known, are required. This is what Joseph Campbell referred to as the obstacle as gatekeeper. Once the gatekeeper's riddle is answered, that gatekeeper, once an obstacle, becomes an ally. The riddle was required to prove your worth, so to speak, to enter the new realm.